Welcome to the NAMFS September webinar. We are glad you have joined us. Today our topic is Earth Vision, New Location Software. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the NAMFS website for members to download. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them in the box on your screen and we will answer them. Today we are pleased to have Carla Johnson, Jeff Schott, and Craig Hoff here to discuss the location intelligence industry and demo how live alerts and maps can better be utilized helping the property preservation industry. Earth Vision is a cutting-edge location intelligence software company located in the high-tech Denver-Boulder corridor. It is a spin-off from the environmental engineering company that spent 5 years creating one of the world's first virtual Earth content management systems for the U.S. Air Force from 2002 to 2008. Carla Johnson is CEO and Jeff Schott is president, are co-owners of Earth Visions. Both are Colorado entrepreneurs for more than 20 years. Jeff ran media and software companies prior to joining Earth Visions, and Carla ran one of Colorado's fastest growing environmental engineering firms. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Carla.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being on the call today. We all really appreciate it. We're really excited to talk to you today about one of the products that we have launched out of Earth Visions. And Earth Visions, as Liz was just saying, was a launch off of a environmental engineering firm that I started in the early 1990s. And in about 2000, we got a interesting contract with the U.S. Air Force. And with that Air Force contract, one of the things that they were really interested in doing is being able to manage the facilities and decision and risk elements of each of the 13 AETC Air Force bases. And that was during the Iraq War. One of the reasons they wanted to do that is because they needed to bring missions to those bases, and they had no way to be able to make decisions quickly about really key elements on those facilities. Every base is like a small city, so there's lots of buildings and lots of information about everything going on. And they had to make very fast and quick decisions during that time period. So what we did for them is we created with NASA the first virtual Earth, which means we took this ball and we wrapped around satellite imagery and we started to program pan, pan and zoom and other features that you're kind of used to right now playing with Google Earth. And then we took 13 libraries of data. We actually scanned pages of every single page of documents in these libraries and attached them to the landscape. And we gave them this visual interface where naturally all the information from the buildings and the location of their assets was on a map or the Earth, so that they could fly down. I'll give you an example. They could fly down to any of their bases and click on a building and see who is in the building. They could click on the roof and see what kind of roof it was. They could fly underground and see where the contamination areas were and all the utilities, or they could fly up in the air and see where the training zones were. And what that allowed them to do was to make decisions extremely quickly during a very intense conflict time during the Iraq War. And it took essentially what used to be a year's process of decision making down to less than a month. So when we were done with that project in 2007, we had created this platform called World Engine, and we launched Earth Visions out of that company, out of Waterstone. And that particular company was to go into the commercial arena. And we had live data mapping experts and excuse me, and a lot of satellite imagery experts. And the clients that we started getting after 2007 were things like you can see up there. We had Union Pacific Railroad and Level 3, the largest telecom company in the U.S., and even into PGA Tour, where all these huge companies had lots of distributed assets, and they needed to manage them in some way, including with live links. So this became a whole new element for Earth Visions. And out of that, we launched what we think is one of the more fun and interesting products, and that's vAlert that we're going to talk about today. And vAlert aggregates over 70 alert types and 10 different kinds of feeds around the country in so much detail that we can actually map the weather and disaster alerts right to a particular address. And I'm going to let Jeff tell you a little bit more about that.
Okay. Hi, this is Jeff Schott, the president of Earth Visions. I met some of you folks at the NAMFS conference in Orlando in August, and I just want to thank everybody who's on this call. I was made to feel very welcome. I learned a lot about the industry, and I realize you guys have an extremely tough job, and margins are often very tight. So I think most of you know we began building vAlert as a product for one of the big national property preservation companies in about early 2013. So a lot of the creation and design of vAlert was specifically to solve challenges for a big national company. We were particularly in the beginning of the creation of vAlert focused on snow removal, which we know is a big challenge in the industry. But to make this webinar somewhat educational, I want to talk a little bit kind of about the industries of weather alerts and satellite imagery and mapping. What I got from the conference is generally the property preservation industry is extremely sharp about using maps, satellite imagery, street view imagery, and also is quite sophisticated about knowing what weather alerts are best for the region that you're managing properties in. Earth Visions is kind of uniquely situated, as Liz mentioned. It's kind of called the Denver-Boulder corridor. It's a high-tech corridor trying to grow up to be Silicon Valley at some point. But there are over 500 software companies in about a 50-mile radius around Denver and Boulder. And in this corridor, there is particularly a focus on a number of things that are relevant to the property preservation industry. About 20 minutes north of our office is the largest satellite imagery provider in the world. It's a company called Digital Globe. They just launched WorldView 3, which is a billion-dollar commercial satellite that went up about 2 months ago. And they are the main provider, or they have been historically, for Google. Google Maps and Google Earth were both built using Digital Globe satellite imagery. Just a little bit about Digital Globe. We have a very tight relationship with them. One of the questions we've been asked by customers and clients in the property preservation industry is about getting fresh or near real-time satellite imagery after a severe weather or disaster event. Digital Globe has a product called First Look. It's relatively expensive in the $75,000 annual license range. We've had a lot of our clients and prospective clients ask about acquiring near real-time imagery after a severe weather event. So that's always an ROI calculation for you guys. You have to inspect properties no matter what. So I tend to think the bigger the event, the more value buying a piece of satellite imagery that's 4 or 8 hours after a big weather event has value. But we can talk about that kind of separately. That's an ROI calculation. Also, we have relationships. The drone industry has popped up all around us, and at times drone imagery can be extremely cost-effective if you need fresh imagery. Also located within minutes from our office is Google's a large Google office that's an imagery headquarters for Google. It's a Maps office. We're a Google Maps licensed redeveloper. And Microsoft is also right down the street from us with their mapping division. So we're right in a corridor where satellite imagery and mapping companies are very prominent. In addition to that, NOAA is 10 minutes north of our office. They're the major federal lab responsible for climate research and weather research, and they have a really great weather alerts feed. So we're have very tight relationships with all of these companies, and basically VAlert is an aggregator that pulls together these technologies into one application. So we're taking weather alerts and the geocoding and address verification services and the mapping products and combining them into one product, VAlert, which basically, in a nutshell, you get your own map with all your own data on it. So instead of creating maps on a regular basis and sort of creating new maps with all your assets on them, we have a bulk upload tool that allows you to import and export property addresses. You can tag any kinds of or amounts of data to those property addresses. And the main differentiator and value of VAlert is the alerts are pushed to you on any device directly linked to your assets under management. So it saves this whole process of looking at weather alerts, then going to maps, trying to figure out which of your properties have been impacted by severe weather. That information is sent right to you with a link that you can click on, open the map, see your properties, see the particular type of weather alert, the boundary of the alert, which of your properties are inside or outside of the boundary, and a number of other really easy to use geo tools. So we are kind of uniquely positioned because of the technology companies around us. We are constantly staying on top of the new tech. Anytime Google creates a new API for maps, if it's something that we see is valuable for our clients, we integrate it into our products. We're very sort of up on the latest trends in satellite imagery, and we're really experts given our surrounding partner companies in weather alerts. So when you bring those three things together, we're well positioned to build a really powerful product. And I just want to say, if you guys have questions on what Google's doing going down the road, or Microsoft with their products, including MapPoint, we're a good source of information, and we're happy to answer any questions for the PropPres industry as a new member of NAMFS. So with that said, we want to go right to the demo of the product and let you guys really see how it works.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. My name is Craig Hunt. I'm the CTO of EarthVisions, and I wanted to give you a brief demo of the VAlert product that Jeff and Carla have been talking about this morning, and show you how that has relevance for the property preservation industry. VAlert is a product that we put together, as Jeff mentioned, to solve a problem that we were seeing was lacking in other competing products, and that is being able to take the assets that you care about, the things that houses, foreclosed houses or whatever they are that you're managing every day, and marry those to weather and severe disaster alerts. So what I want to go over today is the asset management portions of the VAlert product, how you add assets, view assets on the map, the tools that we provide for that, look at the severe weather and disaster alerts that we provide, how those are connected to the assets, how you would get reports out of that, the notifications that you might get, and then at the end, a little bit on the administrative functions, the security that's around this product, configuration, and so forth, and then we'll have some time at the end of the webinar for some question and answer. So what you're looking at right now is the VAlert landing page. And I wanted to start, as I said, with the asset management portion. VAlert makes it very easy for you to upload and manage assets and see them on a map. So for this example, I'm going to pick a file that has some sample asset information in it. And so what you would need to do if you were using this product is get your assets into a spreadsheet. And with this tool, what you'll be able to do is map the fields in the spreadsheet to fields in our system. Our system is intelligent and able to guess from the names of the fields what they may be. So we can see that it is able to find the street address, the city, the state, the zip code, other information that might be in there. We can submit this and load this data into the map view. So give it just a second to do that. Once we've done that, we can then view all of the assets that have been loaded. And we can do that by owner. I'll pick the one that I uploaded and just look at that one. And of course, in this view, you would only see assets that you have been given permission to see, only the ones that your company manages. And if you give accounts to other customers of yours, they would be able to see only what you gave them permission to see. So drilling down, I'll find the asset that I uploaded and give you an idea of what you can do with this. We get, of course, the map view showing where the asset is. Oops, pull back out of that a little bit. And some context for where this property is, some information about it, whatever information that we have put in, and that could include things like geotag documents, being able to have documents, for instance, permitting documents or inspection documents associated directly with the asset. We can also attach photos. You could have vendors out in the field, text, taking photos, using the mobile app, and uploading them into the system. We also have a variety of tools that are available to help you to get a better view of the asset. So for instance, we've incorporated Google Street View so that you can see what a ground level view of this particular asset might look like. So I'll fly around to that. And we also have other tools that you can use, such as a address tool. You can just type in an address and go there. And see what that is. You can find addresses that are nearby. You can find the distance between addresses. So various tools that will help you to be able to understand the geographical aspect of the assets you're managing. But of course, VAlert is more than just an asset management tool. It's also a visual weather and disaster alerting tool. So I want to look at that aspect of the product just a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, VAlert provides a wide array, as Carla mentioned, of different types of alerts. So just to look through what some of the ones that are available, earthquakes, FEMA disaster declarations, floods, hail, wildfire, wind, as well as other kinds of forecasted alerts, fire weather, tornadoes, blizzards, snow, and so forth and so on. Yeah, and this is all live information. We can also show you archived data going back in time. So what I'm going to show you now is when you're using this tool, it will normally start with you receiving notification. The idea with VAlert is that you're able to be notified of severe weather and disaster events that are affecting your assets and then be able to take action based on that. So you might be notified in an email, as is shown here, or in an SMS text message, or you might get a CSV report that's sent daily to your server, however you would want to use it. When you get this alert, it will tell you about what it is. It will show you the assets that are affected. I zoom in on a little bit. And it will allow you to click on a link that will take you to that alert. So this is an example of a snow alert. There's not actually any live snow right now, so this is compiled from some historical information, but basically showing you how the snow tool would work. So for instance, in the property preservation industry, we know that snow shoveling is a major concern, and we developed this to be able to meet that need. When you're looking at this, what it will tell you is in the city of Boulder, where we're located, this is the municipal bounds. These are the assets that are either in or in the vicinity of the city of Boulder. And then these are the snow stations. We have thousands of monitoring stations that we collect data from around the country. And so we're able to get a very pinpoint, accurate view of how much snow is affecting each asset. So in this case, we can see that this asset here is very close to a monitoring station reporting 4 inches of snow, whereas this asset up in the foothills is closer to a monitoring station reporting trace amounts of snow. And so in places like this in the mountains, where the amount of snow varies greatly depending on your elevation and the geography around you, you can get a really good picture of what's going on. And as I mentioned, we then provide tools where you could use to further reduce and filter the number of assets that you're looking at. You can do that geographically. You can do that by typing in information like city names and street names, zip codes, those sorts of things. Export the data out to a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, you would have that information including the location of the address, various types of metadata, other pieces of information related to that asset, the amount of snow at the property, the amount of snow cover already on the ground, and the forecast temperatures. We know that forecasts are particularly important for snowfall. Of course, today, this is live information. We're going to have a high of 86. If we had really had snow last night, it's probably not very likely that you would need to shovel. But on a day where the temperature was going to be 32 degrees and continuing to snow, that might make a different decision. We have other types of tools as well that you can use to look at snow and other weather events on a more global basis. For instance, as we back out of this a little bit, we have, of course, live cloud view. We can pull into that a radar composite, seeing where storm activity is. We also can pull in live weather view that you can zoom down to any location and find out exactly what the weather forecast is going to be. So a comprehensive set of live as well as archived weather tools. And just to give you one more example of an alert, I want to show you, let me switch screens here. I'll show you wildfires. That's, of course, an issue that's been affecting the West Coast considerably. This year, we know that the King Fire east of Sacramento has been a really devastating fire, and so we can collect information about that fire, see geographically exactly where it's affecting, how big it is, and get more information from those on the ground, in this case, the National Forest Service. Of course, you can receive alerts on any device. Our system is designed to be responsive, so this same visual weather tool that works on a desktop machine also works on tablets and on mobile phones and other devices. So finally, I wanted to show you briefly a little bit of the administration aspects of the V-Alert product. Let me go back to where we can do that. Let me log out as the administrative user. So I'm going to log in as a sample manager user. and talk a little bit about how that works. There are different levels of authentication and permissions that are available. vAlert is a product that was built with security in mind from the ground up, and so all access to the vAlert product is using industry standard SSL authentication and communication, so that all of the information is encrypted while it's transmitted. In addition to that, we use Spring Security, another industry standard technology, to provide for user authentication, roles, and permissions. And we can use that to allow the view of what's seen in the tool to be customized specifically for the needs of that user. So I'm logged in as a managerial user. I have access to all of the different 70 alert types that Carla mentioned, and I can configure my account to be able to receive the email or SMS alerts on any one of those. So just to show how that might work, I'll click on the Configure Notification button and decide what kind of alert I might want to receive. So I can choose specific regions. I might be setting this up for contractors who are only interested in alerts in Arizona or Alabama and not for the entire U.S. I can consider things like the certainty. How likely is this event to occur? Is this just a watch from the National Weather Service, or is this an observed event that has already occurred? So if I'm looking at, for instance, hail alerts, I'll put in observed. How severe is this event? Do we want any kind of event, or do we want to restrict receiving alerts to only the most extreme events? How do I want to be notified? As I mentioned, email, SMS, FTP, other notification methods. And for whom do I want to receive these alerts? And I will just receive alerts for the assets that I just uploaded, and I can choose a type. And so that's how easy it is to be able to set that up.
I just want to maybe interject here. In terms of user authentication, there aren't extra fees to authenticate large numbers of users that you select. So you can authenticate inspectors or contractors in specific regions to receive those kinds of alerts. You can authenticate your clients to receive alerts on only their assets. So there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of power in who you can authenticate to receive alerts.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jeff to give you a little bit of a summary, and then we're going to take some time for questions.
This is usually about the time when we're demoing one-on-one when people say how much. So just a little bit about the pricing model, because it's a little different than the sort of standard GIS services model. EarthVisions has moved from basically a geospatial services company to a company that builds products to address specific business challenges, and vAlert is one of them. The pricing is pretty much driven by the number of assets that we geocode. So we've made this product really affordable for regional and sub-regional companies. I want to make a few more points. If there are alert types or alerts in regions that you really like, we've had requests. For example, New York State, NOLA is a great alert system for that state. We can quickly integrate a weather alerts system that you're using and liking that is very inexpensive and very quick to do. Oklahoma, for example, has the best statewide fire feed for the state. It's better than FEMA, so we can integrate alert types if there are things that you're already using and you like. The import and exporting of bulk addresses is very important. When you buy vAlert, it becomes your product. You can put your logo on it. It becomes a very nice sales tool, and it's covered with your data, so it becomes your product. We went through it very quickly, but it's built to be extremely easy to use. You don't need training or software developers. This is built for operations and management people, so it's not a technical product. The complexity is all in the back end. It's very easy to configure and use, and the pricing is again based on number of assets. You buy it as a product, you make it your own, and then there's a license renewal. That's pretty much it. So I think at this point we are ready to see if anyone has any questions about the product. Carla's suggesting maybe we talk a little bit about geocoding and how we get your assets on the map. One of the great services we provide is address verification. So when you send us the list of addresses, we use multiple geocoding services, which are basically the services that assign a lat long to a property address. So we're getting the correct addresses. The properties are in the right place. We verify all addresses. If we do have addresses that we're not able to verify on our own, we send them back to you, and sometimes that has to go all the way back to the banking client, for example, if they don't tell us what state the property is in, which has happened. So when we use the term geocoding, my experience with NAMFS members is a lot of you guys are already geocoding your properties and locating them on maps, but we do provide that service very inexpensively, and we do address verification. So there's a lot of database cleanup as we map all the assets that you're responsible for. And I think that's it. So Craig, did you have something else you wanted to show?
I think Carla just wanted to show a little bit of the different alerts and what they look like, but we can certainly take some questions.
Because these are live right now, and these will be updating every how many minutes?
It depends on the feed, but every few minutes we check for updates, so very frequently.
Yeah. So this is everything that is occurring right now in the U.S. is on the left as far as alerts go.
One other fast point with the season that's coming, we've built a snow removal regulatory database for 365 cities. Wonderful tool to show clients that walks need to be shoveled. You basically, in the alert, you get the snowfall total, the weather forecast, so you know, as Craig mentioned, if the snow is going to melt, and you get the fine amount, the regulation for that specific town or city. So that's a really good work order generator, because you can show clients that you have X number of homes in this snow region and how much it snowed and what the fine is for non-shoveling, and that you've got to get out there fast and shovel. So that's been a great work order generator for several of our clients.
And I'm just showing an example of the snow regulations on the screen right now.
So when these alerts are driven right to you, you can get a regulation in the alert. In fact, you can attach any data you like or you need to the alert, or we can go get data for you. If you have something particular or a region you want to know, homeowners association regulations, we can go acquire that data for you. And when you receive the alerts, things like regulations can be built right into the alert, telling you pretty much things like what the fine is for not taking care of this particular job. So that's a really nice value add with the snow season coming.
Okay. One question that we've gotten is, can the product help locate properties with rural route and box numbers? And that's a great question. Jeff's been talking a little bit about the challenge with geocoding, being able to turn addresses into a point on the map so that you can find it and know how to get there. And rural route box numbers are definitely one of those things that's difficult to do. We essentially provide two different levels of geocoding services. The first level is we'll take any kind of normal street address and be able to find its lat long very accurately. For properties that are a little bit harder to geocode, either because they are missing certain pieces of information, perhaps part of the address information is truncated or is incorrect, when we get it back from the geocoding service that there's a problem, we can pass it into a more advanced level of geocoding that is able to do address verification. And that includes things like taking rural route and box numbers and finding actual locations for those. So yes, that's definitely a service that we provide.
And then you can verify with Street View, right?
Right, and we can also use the Street View tool, which we looked at before, to be able to verify if the address is correct, if there's any question. What we can do is provide a report of addresses showing the quality of the geocoding, how accurate is it, and for the few that may show up as being suspect, we can actually visually look, or you could visually look using the Street View tool at that address and see if it's correct.
A little about Street View. That is one of Google Maps' major initiatives, is to Street View everything. So more and more, every area of the world, particularly U.S., many people I've talked to have seen the Google Street View trucks driving by. A lot of the country is now Street Viewed, and it's a huge initiative for Google. That's they're investing a lot of time and money in street viewing everything. So I would expect in a year or so you will have very few properties that aren't visible in Street View.
Okay. Another question that came up had to do with, it says that we are a company that measures and installs pool covers. Our measurements have to be pretty precise. How accurate can I drill down to in an effort to measure for a pool cover versus sending a vendor out to measure for the cover? That's a great question. I don't have that information just off the top of my head. Would be happy to get back to you. I do know that the measuring tools that are available are pretty precise, but to give you specifics, let me follow up with that afterwards.
They can give you an address and you can zoom down to a pool and see if you can do it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have an address for a pool, Carla? Property that has a pool?
Why don't you go to one of the rec centers?
Okay.
Boulder, or what's the pool that is?
An outdoor pool? There's one at Rallyport.
Okay.
Rallyport, yes.
Okay.
I think this is a good time to maybe interject. We're not a behemoth company here in Boulder, so we're extremely responsive, and we get questions asking us to customize vAlert in various ways or add data. We had a request for a lot size measuring tool. We are eager to create solutions to specific problems. So if we need to generate a tool that measures pool sizes, we will build it.
Yeah, this particular built-in tool is just going to give you in miles. So it would have to provide the conversion to feet, but that's easy to do. But the process is very simple.
You can see how close you can get and how accurate you could possibly get.
Right, exactly. We also had a question, have any clients integrated this into an ASP.NET application? Not to this point, but definitely one of the services we provide is to do custom integrations, to take the existing product and integrate it into other applications. So we'd be happy to talk to somebody about that offline. Okay.
Okay, so we're just giving a moment. Really encourage you guys to ask questions. I will mention at this point, for NAMFS members, we're offering a 30-day trial because vAlert is so easy to operate and set up. We take just sample data, sample addresses. I would suggest the more dispersed, the better. And you guys can use vAlert for a month and compare it to what you're doing now and see how you like it. A little more on pricing. If you're buying weather alerts licenses or mapping Google Maps licenses, vAlert can be purchased for less money than just those licenses. So We definitely want feedback from property preservation companies and NAMFS members in particular. We are continuing, this is what we do. This is what we do all day. VAlert constantly adds alert types, geo-tools, things to make your job easier. So if you have thoughts or suggestions, we very much want to hear them because they're probably going to be applicable across industries. If you have specific things you want done, we do them quickly and inexpensively. So we have another question.
So the question was, can you easily distinguish between FEMA alerts that are public assistance versus individual assistance? Basically, we are able to tell, as we did look at an example of a FEMA alert, and I can bring that back up quickly so we can see what we're talking about. Back over here. Where I have the right thing up. Okay, so we can definitely distinguish between different types of FEMA alerts, fire management alerts, disaster declaration, emergency declarations. From that, basically what we're going to do is be able to drill down, see the area that is affected for those alerts. Wait for a second for that to load. And then we'll provide you a link to the FEMA website with additional information. So if the information you're specifically looking for is not already on our page, we're happy to get you to that information so that you can find out things like what are the aid programs and how would an individual apply for assistance. So we definitely have access to that information within our system.
In addition, people who are on the street doing emergency response in the middle of disasters are going to be able to upload photos and videos and comments and other things from the emerging emergency that's on the ground. And so we'll be able to pick up that data as well. And I also wanted to mention that, and I know Jeff kind of touched on it before, but we have the ability to task satellites. So after a disaster, if there's a particular area that you need information on really quickly, we have the ability to put in a call to satellites to get the most recent updated imagery for that area, and sometimes all the way down to, I think right now we can get about
26 inches.
Yeah, less than a meter, so about a half a meter's worth of detail, and that's really helpful for hurricanes and
high winds,
roof damage, or tornadoes. Obviously, all those things where there could be an edge to the disaster area and then not in the other part of the disaster area.
Mm-hmm. We had another question about, do we have heat advisory alerts? So I pulled up on the screen that yes, that's one of the 70 different alert types that we have. So if a heat advisory is issued for a location and you have addresses in there that you are concerned about, then absolutely you can find out that that heat advisory has been issued. And we'll just show a few more slowly of the ones that we have. So these include things like ice storms, wind, red flag warnings, rip currents. So there's all kinds of different alerts, and we'd be happy to provide anyone with a list of the full number of alerts. And we're adding more alerts all the time.
It's a good time to mention you get the alerts, prior to a weather event, during the event, and at the end of an event. So you're tracking storms in real time over the course of any kind of severe weather event. So you're constantly updated. I think that if I had to pick the main benefit of VAlert is this push model where you're receiving the alerts about your assets and you don't have to spend the time matching weather alerts to your database of addresses. And that information is constantly updated in near real time.
Okay, we got a question. If you are sending these properties to Google, how do you assure that they don't store them? So
it's part of the NAMFS license.
Yeah, so when we do the geocoding process where we send the address to Google, they provide us with information about where that address is, the jurisdiction it's in, county information, zip codes, and so forth. The only thing they've received is an actual street address. That's not connected to anything else. It's not connected to you or to anything else. And then that information is not stored by them. The address information is stored in our secure database, and all we use the Google Map for is to display it on the screen. And so that is done, not the Google Map is loaded into your browser. The information about where the property is transmitted to your computer, and then a place mark is created. So that information, what's on the map in terms of the place marks and the other icons, is never sent to Google.
There's no public visualization of any of the data coming in from this product.
And that, you can attach any kinds of data to the icon. So when you click on any home, if you've got data you want to attach to that home, what the roof is made out of, how old the house is, the value of the home, the lot size, you can attach almost unlimited data to any asset, which can come in really handy in analyzing what's likely to have happened, for example, to a roof in the event of 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Including documents such as anything from the bank that might be interesting, who the vendors are, how many different vendors have been out there, their reports. So any piece of information that is attached to that particular asset on the ground can be aggregated. This is a grand aggregator of lots and lots of types of data that serve you in the field and serve you for your client. You get a command view, and you also can just be alerted on your mobile phone. So there's lots of different ways that you can interact with this product. And how most of our customers are using it right now is in a way where rooms where they used to have maybe 5, 6, or 10 people going through different kinds of either weather feeds or newscasts, and then assembling that data. They've got 1 or 2 people running it for their entire operation.
Okay. Okay, so 2 more questions have come in. One is, there can be access difficulties for inspectors after FEMA events. Can we verify no access for our clients with questions about their assets? As we showed you before, we are able to store dynamically information about properties in the system. So it's possible for a person who goes on site, an inspector using the app, to update what we call the metadata, the data points surrounding the asset, and be able to put in information such as there's no access to the site. And then that information could be exported from the system and sent to clients who have questions about that. Another question was, will we have performance issues when we have a few 100,000 properties, since they have to be transmitted back from Google? That's also a really good question. So in terms of scale, vAlert is definitely designed to scale. Of course, we have customers with hundreds of thousands of properties in the system, so we can definitely handle that. There's really 2 phases to that question. One is the geocoding portion. It does take us a little bit of time to translate all the addresses into latitudes and longitudes. But once that's done, then in terms of retrieving it, this is why when we do, for instance, the asset view, we use a clustering model. We're not trying to display every single point on the map all at the same time, which would indeed bog things down. So the the system has been optimized to handle those large volumes of data.
In fact, because it's a worldwide product, some of our customers have global assets, and we can handle, I think, up to 2 million assets in the system very easily without going to a second set of servers or a bigger product.
Yeah. So I think maybe we'll have 1 or 2 more minutes for questions, and then we'll probably want to wrap up.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of our hour.
We're getting close to the end. Okay.
So why don't we
turn it back over to Liz.
Just pop up the ROI slide. I think you guys have gotten, there's a lot of benefits to vAlert It's an incredible, powerful product, and it's not expensive, and it's easy to operate. That's the, I think, takeaway message. And I just strongly encourage, we'd love to get you guys on trial runs and get your feedback on it. That's the best way to test drive it.
Okay. Thank you,
Thanks
Carla,
very
Jeff,
much.
and Craig.
We appreciate it.
This concludes our webinar for today. If you have any further questions, please contact us at any time. We thank you for joining us and hope you have a great day.